Hi, Teresa.
Hey there, Laura. How are you?
I'm fine. I sigh. There's just so much going on.
I have a hard out at 8 o'clock. So, um,
Anything in particular you want to do first on this agenda?
no, but anything that's really important, maybe I can make a motion to amend the agenda to, if you feel you're going to need
No,
a
not
vote.
all of these are basically 100% affordable. We're just looking at them and whining a little.
Okay.
Or, I mean, two of them involve period houses that were burned down on the watch of the developers. So
Yeah, that Andrew's place, I know about that one.
Milton as well. So the only real action item, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that could be action items, but the only real action item is that the council office, Caesar got roped, here he is, council office, one of the things at this meeting that we had with them, they definitely want a UNNC committee and committee chair as point person on certain topics. So like trees, I mean the obvious, but Kimani very pointedly said, so who is the chair of your transportation committee? And I asked the gathered board again, and the dead silence, and finally Caesar said, okay, I'll do it. So there we go. I mean, it's interesting because we have Caesar, about half a dozen people who said they'll be on the committee, but not one of them who said they'll be chair.
Right.
Right. So we're gonna keep looking for his replacement, although traffic safety is his passion. Anyway, so that's the only that does have to be an action, but it's also a 1 minute. So
Okay. Hey, Caesar, it's Teresa. How are you?
I'm good, Teresa. Nice to hear from you. How's everything?
It's going okay. I mentioned to Laura that I have a hard out at 8 o'clock.
Okay.
So if there's anything that would need a collective vote, if we could amend the agenda to accommodate that, that would be great. If not, then that's okay. I just
Yeah.
have to leave at 8.
Yeah, I would appreciate that too, because I do have to put the babies down around 8 o'clock too.
hey, I'm hearing this, so got it. So we'll flip the agenda and take the reactivate the committee first. I mean, it makes the most sense.
Thank you.
Although you could stay a little while longer after that, Caesar.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I'll definitely stay here until 8.
Okay. Well, I'd love to be out at 8, but we'll see. Okay, what am I trying to do? Hi, Steve.
Hello.
Okay, well, it is 7:02 and we have folks gathered, so I'm thinking might as well get started. 2 of our current participants have a hard out at 8 o'clock. So we will accommodate by switching up the order on the agenda. So my name is Laura Myers. I am the chair of UNNC's Planning and Zoning Committee. I'm also serving as the organization's president. And before I share the agenda, well, I guess I should share the agenda and then they keep changing, here we go, where share is. Got it. Okay, so can you all see the agenda on this?
Yes.
Yes, we can.
Right, so welcome, call to order. And let's do introductions. So again, I'm Laura Myers, and I live in Angeles Vista, so there's nobody at the moment present with me in the South Seas house, with the exception of Gavin, who's off doing his work. So if we can go around the Zoom room, I'm gonna call and order Caesar to introduce yourselves.
Sure, I can go next. I'm Cesar Garcia. I live in Jefferson Park, and I'm also the chair for the Park and Recs committee for UNNC.
Steve,
Steve Peckman, Jefferson Park. I'm a stakeholder.
Donna. Yeah,
Sorry, Donna Jones, West Adams Avenues. I am a stakeholder.
and Teresa.
Hey, everybody, I'm Teresa Masonette. I chair the tree committee for UNNC. I live in the Avenues, and I'm a stakeholder.
And I think everyone who's participating in the meeting does know this, but for the record, UNNC appoints its chairs for our committees, but otherwise, we open our arms to stakeholders and anybody else actually who attends to participate robustly in our committee meetings. But for voting, one must be a stakeholder. And what is a stakeholder? This was language adopted by city council, or regulations adopted by city council. It's a person who lives, works, owns property, owns a business, attends a church, participates in a nonprofit 501c3 organization which has a brick and mortar location, as would need the church to have a brick and mortar location within the boundaries of UNNC, attends school or is a parent of a child who attends school, again within our boundaries. Anyone who meets that criteria may vote and make motions at our committee meeting. So all of those who already introduced themselves meet that guideline. So reviewing the agenda, we have general public comments, and then we will try to find my navigation tool. And then we have 3 cases on the agenda that are not really cases that we're going to be able to grade. I'm just migrating out of this to take much in the way of actions because they are 100% affordable cases, which the city by and large has now deemed ministerial. So they are, well, again, 3 projects at 3521 West Washington, 1422 South St. Andrews, and 1504 South Wilson Place. And then we get to item 6, reactivating UNNC's Mobility and Transportation Subcommittee of this Planning and Zoning Committee. And then item 7 is follow-up to previous cases, business and ENS, which is the early notification system, discussion and possible action. And I put in updates regarding SB 79, objective design standards, the open space element, but there could be follow-up to anything. We have, as mentioned, a couple of people who have a hard out at 8 o'clock. So I'd like to suggest that we change the order of the agenda and do general public comments first, and then item 6, since it should be quick, reactivate UNNC's Mobility and Transportation Subcommittee, and then go into start looking at those cases. Would that be okay with everybody?
Yes.
I don't think we have to have a vote for that. Okay, so now, sorry, trying to stopping the share. The next thing on the agenda is we're gonna go back, and we have two other stakeholders who have joined us. So if you could introduce yourselves, please, starting with Colleen. You have to unmute. We're starting with Sunmi. Well, I guess,
Hi, Sunmin. Hi. Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi. Hey, Caesar.
so,
No comments.
This is Colleen. I am a stakeholder. I live in Jefferson Park.
okay. And Sunmin, you also live in Jefferson Park, correct?
Yes, live in Jefferson Park.
Okay, so we just got another memorandum from the Department of Neighborhood Empowerment. I'm not sure how applicable it is to stakeholders attending a meeting. But essentially the memo, there's a lot of things to it, but one of them is to remind us that we have to have cameras on, which I think only is applicable if you're going to make a motion and vote on anything. So should you make a motion and decide to vote, you'll have to have cameras on. Otherwise, it's fine for non-board members to be, not cameras on. But this has to do with a current city attorney interpretation of the new SB 77 law. And I have not clarified if that includes stakeholders. So anyway, and one more person is joining us, but why don't we start with general public comments and come back to introductions? Are there any general public comments on any matter that is not on tonight's agenda? Okay, well, I have one, waiting for the community. So just a reminder that Saturday is the annual Fire Service Day. And UNNC is one of the sponsors of Fire Service Day at Station 26, which is located on Western Avenue between Washington Boulevard and the freeway. This event is from noon till 3, and the entrance is actually in Western Heights on Manhattan Place, between 20th Street and 21st Street. So the fire station faces Western, but there's no parking on Western and no ability. I mean, you just have to really need to come in from the Manhattan Place side. There's a larger Fire Service Day event at Station 94 that covers the South Los Angeles Battalion, but and that is at Coliseum. And if anyone's interested in the information on that one, just contact me and I will pass along those flyers. I'll probably do another e-blast on Friday, which would be for both of the fire service days. But I did send out this one at Station 26 today. Sandra, do you want to just say hello and introduce yourself, please?
Good evening, everyone. Sandra Pruitt from Jefferson Park. Hey, Steve. Hi, Teresa. Hi, Donna. Hi, Caesar. Hi, Laura.
And
Colleen.
Colleen and Sunmin.
Colleen, yes.
Okay, and Donna. Okay. All right. Any other general public comments? All right, so let's again, we're gonna flip the order of this a little bit and move on to item 6, which is reactivate UNNC's Mobility and Transportation Subcommittee. It's a subcommittee to the Planning and Zoning Committee, discussion and action. So little background, we had a fairly active Mobility and Transportation Committee in earlier years, and then again in the early part of COVID. It's a subcommittee, which means it can meet irregularly. It doesn't have to have a standing meeting night. And we lost our chair, he moved away. We've had some informal meetings. There's a good half dozen people in the community who've been involved with traffic safety and other mobility, issues lately, but not one of them wants to be the chair. They're all willing to serve on a committee. And then our board had a meeting with the council member, Heather Hutt, and some of her staff on May 2nd. And it became fairly apparent that they were looking for point people for the various issues and concerns that we were bringing up. And Kamani Black, who's our chief of staff from Council District 10, specifically asked, who is the chair of your transportation committee? And in part, that's because Heather Hutt chairs the transportation committee at City Council. And there was deadly silence, and everyone in the room did not raise their hand. And finally, Caesar graciously agreed that he would serve as the chair of the subcommittee. And what we need to do is vote a recommendation to the governing board to both reactivate it on a more official basis and a recommendation to appoint Caesar to that position.
I make a motion to reactivate the committee and nominate draft exploit Caesar as chair of the committee.
That was my fear. That was my fear.
Your draft number has come up.
And is there a second?
I second.
Teresa.
We appreciate your volunteering for this, Caesar. Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes.
you're welcome.
And I mean, I do want to not overload him, but he is at the moment very engaged, not just in greening, but in traffic safety. But, you know, we don't want to overload him. And not only that, this committee ultimately will be looking at a lot of area. I mean, it's just a big deal. But the good news is we have other people, Kristen Riddick, Nuriel Moghaven, I can't even pronounce his name, but a former board member who's very interested in the topic, and several people who are going to be on the committee. So that'll work. All in favor, just need to raise your hands digitally, or is there any opposition? Okay, there's no opposition. So Caesar will move this forward to the board tomorrow night. Okay.
Thank you.
So we have 3 100% affordable housing projects that have all kind of been submitted and are on a very fast track to approval with the planning department. So the first one is a case number EAR, which stands for early, but it's not that early because it's streamlined. 2026-2040 AH, which stands for Affordable Housing, I believe. HCA is the Housing Crisis Act, that's state law, at 3521 West Washington Boulevard. I actually should just bring the share back up, I think, so you can see it. So this is the corner of 6th Avenue and Washington. It's the northeast corner, adjacent.
Still sharing the agenda.
I know, I was bringing up so you could read the agenda item.
I thought you were going to bring up the application. Sorry.
And then I will. I will. Well, I would. I'm not going to bring up the application because the application's not posted, but I do have the plans. I know it's crazy. This is a very crazy situation, but in any case, it's proposed 7-story mixed use building with 100% affordable housing. And it is modular and no parking, just bicycle parking, no loading zone, I might add, because I spoke to the architect. So I'm going to stop the share and tell you that the representative basically wrote me I was a little gobsmacked, not pleasant email saying there's no reason for them to present to us because it's 100% affordable housing. And the building is not, in fact, I mean, the housing is 100% affordable housing, but it is in fact a mixed use building in the CPIO. So I do not know if it's fully ministerial or if it's not fully ministerial, but he has refused to meet with us for good or bad. So this is, oh, and I should add, this design that we're looking at was designed by KFA, that would be John Arnold. They have left the project of their own accord. They're not working with this developer any longer. And you can infer from that, they were not fired. You can infer from that which you want to infer from that. So I just wanted to bring these projects forward because we're gonna have stakeholders asking us about this stuff. So essentially, just going through, I don't understand all of these plans, but I do understand when we get to the site plan. So can you guys see the site plan?
Yes.
Yes.
What they are doing here, and John explained a little of it to me. Even though the CPIO has a 0-foot setback requirement, so they should be bringing the building frontage forward to retain this, the frontage, the street wall. They've moved it back 5 feet, which obviously creates a bigger planting area. So theoretically, we can have more significant trees. But John explained that the reason is the engineering department requirement to have a big turn on the big thing on this corner. So I don't know if you can see where I have sort of this little pointer, that turn at 6th Avenue. So they had to bring the building back 5 feet to accommodate the deep 88 curve on the corner. So that's one thing that probably is not discussable because it's an engineering requirement. You'll also notice there's no loading zone, no place to empty the trash cans for 100 and however many units. The trash area is, again, if you can see it's not a pointer, so I'm going to say the arrow. This is a trash area that can go in and out those doors. But when we get to the landscape plan, this area is fully landscaped and then we have an alley. So I'm really unclear how the commercial trash trucks are collecting the trash from this building. And I'm also really unclear based on the size of that they're showing on the plans of the trash room, how there's room for all 3, black, blue, and green, because that's the new requirement as well.
So is it taking up the entire block, that frontage of Washington between, was it 5th and 6th?
No, to the east of it is the asbestos building. And then to the east of that is that little former vintage gas station turned into the collision body shop, Caliber body shop. So this is taking up 2 lots.
I guess I don't really understand. It's at the corner of
The northeast corner of 6th and Washington. It's a deep lot. It's a former multiple photo building site. That has
This is not the spot where the wrought iron fence is right now?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Indeed, it is.
So it's just that where the lot is and goes back to what's, I think, a black building,
Well, it includes the black building, only the black building will go away.
but not the one to the, so, and there are 2 buildings.
There's 2 black buildings. So the black building to the east does not go away. It's an asbestos
Okay.
company.
And this is 7 stories on that lot?
And modular. If you're looking, we can start looking at this. You see how everything's identical? These are all 1-bedroom apartments, kind of 1-bedroom.
Yeah.
This
This has nothing to do with the prevailing height in the area, and the design of it has nothing to do with the design in the area.
got nothing to do with the CPAO designs, and that is correct. And it's also unfortunate
The
because
prevailing height in the area is 1 and 2 stories.
yes, but it's 45 feet on the CPAO. It goes 3 stories by right, 2 more stories by a different right, even in the CPIO if it's 100% affordable, but this goes 2 more stories after that, taking advantage of state laws. So it's
And
7.
and there's no staggering down into the housing that's behind it.
It's
It's one
asking-
continuous block, cube.
yes, it's asking for a waiver of the transitional height requirement. There is a setback and then an alley. So it's not immediately touching, but you know,
Right. So if I understand correctly, there's no automobile parking. It's 7 stories with no staggering down into the neighborhood. The design has nothing to do with the architectural design of the neighborhood, and the height has no relationship to the prevailing height in the neighborhood. Did I get that right?
yeah. And a little bit more. The design guidelines are in fact, sadly, in the West Adams, Baldwin Hills, Limerick, CPIO are not standards. I mean, but they're beyond not standards. The introductory paragraph actually says they don't have to do them. So it's a really interesting, since we were told that the Washington Boulevard specific plan request was converted to the CPIO with design guidelines that were part of it, but it now says it's not. But
So
they
even-
can use them to
without-
review a discretionary project, which this is not.
So even without the 100% affordable housing, there's nothing that we could point to design-wise that says this is inconsistent with the rules for design on this stretch of Washington.
We can point to it, it was just not made mandatory in the final adoption, apparently. Because the other issue is where the transformer is. I don't know if you noticed, sorry. You know, I always have trouble doing this, migrate, you know, showing these plans online. It's a little hard, but in any case, it's just not giving me, maybe I can.
And so because it's ministerial, is there anything this committee can offer?
I am not sure he's correct because it has a commercial component. So this is not a building with 100, I mean, it had, all of its housing 100% is affordable. But it is, the project is mixed use. So this all just came up in the last 3 days, just so quick. It just came in 4 days, just came in right with the timing on the agenda, and there's no application online. Teresa has her hand up.
Yes, thank you, Laura. I'd like to request something here. You know the building at Washington and 10th, the Miami turquoise building? That building
Norton, yeah, Norton, yeah.
Yeah, it made some adjustments and it put the HVAC water heater, whatever it is, on the balcony. So when I look at this and I see those balconies, it's very concerning to me that adjustments might be made to increase the square footage of the unit and put those structures on the balcony. And if we could somehow, I don't know if we're going to do a letter or we just need to make sure that doesn't happen, because I feel like they're going to say, oh, well, look, they did that already. Maybe that's something we could do, especially when I see the structure and those balconies.
Well, and you're absolutely correct. And I do think if that was in the approval letter, then building and safety would read it. Because what seems to have happened on the other one, again, what the John explained to me is that they've done the conceptual drawings and then withdrew from the project, and they're not doing the construction drawings. So I'm realizing, just like we have seen in some past instances, or many, apparently it's all of them, that the conceptual drawings presented to the planning department are not necessarily the drawings that are presented to building safety. And even though the approvals will attach these drawings, building safety doesn't look at them. They look at the drawings that were submitted to building safety. So those water heaters were added at the building and safety drawing level. And so that's why the planner on that other building. didn't know about it. So I think we should, in fact, write a letter that, brings up a couple of things, and that should be one of them. Just say, we know it's ministerial, but please, in your approval, make sure the tankless water heaters are not out on those balconies, which are to serve as much of the open space for the residents.
Great, thank you.
Does the planner actually have the legal ability to require that?
I think so, because they're asking to use the balconies as part of the open space. So that means they should be fully open because the square footage is calculated as part of the open space. There's not much else of open space. So the transformer, I don't know, now you can maybe see it, is down here at 6th Avenue and the alley. It's right in the required setback for the street. So I don't know if this is above ground transformers or below ground. LADWP likely tells them where they have to be, but it's another bothersome thing. So my issues on this are my issues that I think we can comment on. I don't think we can comment on the height. I know we cannot comment on the 0 parking because it's AB 297. But the fact that there's no loading zone, no place for UPS or anybody else. 6th Avenue itself is narrow and yet fully a commuter access street. I mean, it's a, whatever they call those, but where, it's constant traffic day and night, because it goes over the bridge of the freeway. If UPS and Amazon and other delivery trucks of any sort are double parked there, it'll just be a nightmare. So at minimum, there should be a loading. There should have been an indent of some sort somewhere on this for loading. So anybody else have any?
I agree with you about the traffic. That 6th Avenue is crazy. And if one person is double parking and oncoming traffic, it's really hard to get around. They need to have something to kind of mitigate the intensity of traffic in that area.
And they don't seem to be improving the alley. I don't know why, meaning widening it further. And I don't know why, because that would, if they did have to improve the alley and make it, because I think it's 18 feet. If they had to make the alley 25 feet, for example, then they could do loading there. And a car could still get through. Steve, you have a look at your face.
Did I hear you correctly? There's no place for garbage pickup?
Yes.
That is correct. In other words,
Is there any place for
do you see
garbage?
my little arrow? Remember I pointed out a door? This is a door. So this area here is internal where the trash cans will be, but the rest of this is landscape as amenity for the residents.
So I guess the concept is, I don't know, are these regular barrels there, or is that like a big blue bin?
So they would be bins, and like Republic or whoever it is that services has the contract in this area would be going in. Presumably they have to go in with a little truck, with a big truck waiting somewhere, but waiting somewhere would be, again, double parking on 6th Avenue. That's problematic. And go in with a little, if you've seen how these operations are now working, they have a little pickup that drives along with the big truck. The little pickup goes in and grabs the bin they're picking up, and they have a lift, and they carry the bin back to the big truck and they dump it. And then right. So, but I don't know how they do that because they don't have a place for that.
But isn't the real absurd global idea here is that they provide no car parking, no one else is providing car parking, so there won't be any cars, so you don't have to worry about blocking the traffic on 6th Avenue because there aren't any cars anymore? Isn't that really the concept?
Well, I'm not worried about the cars. I'm worried about the deliveries.
Well, but you don't have to worry about trucks delivering because there are no cars blocking traffic because there's
No, I hear what you're saying. There's a huge amount of traffic on Sixth Avenue
Yeah, but
because
it's going away. That's the concept, right? There won't be any more traffic on Sixth Avenue.
I don't think there's any concept because of Sixth Avenue, because it is considered. I mean, I know you're joking, but it's
No, I'm
identified.
not joking. It's the concept is the joke, not me.
Okay. Yes. So my answer is, jokes aside, because it's state law and we just can't comment on that. But a loading zone and, loading zone is usually mandatory, and they've asked for a waiver to not have to do it. And it's apparently one of the reasons the architecture firm walked away. Because it's just dumb. Okay, that is my interpretation of me saying just dumb. Anyway.
This whole project is so disrespectful to our neighborhood that's beyond the pale.
Okay, except for that the unit size is larger than some. Teresa.
Thank you, Laura. I know that on that corner there is a bus stop.
Yeah.
And I'm just wondering, and I don't know if I'm using this correctly, but could there be some kind of dedication there? So the bus and or Amazon drop off or something they could pull in the front there to do the drop offs?
No, I mean, the bus obviously will be where it wants to be, but they are not allowed to use the main transit corridors for, you would not have a driveway there, and I'm sure they cannot have, I mean, you can't double park there.
No, but like an area where they could pull in closer. If you go back, you show where there's how they angle, how the building is structured so that it doesn't go directly to the corner.
And
I don't
that's
know. I'm just trying to think of another way
I-
where Amazon or somebody could drop off a package and not interfere with 6th Avenue.
Right. Well, Amazon, given that they haven't designed it in, Amazon's and UPS and whoever else are gonna do whatever they do. And we can only hope that they don't do a whole lot of double parking. But again, what we have is, I've already forgotten, how many units did I say?
100 some.
Yeah,
40
I mean, and it's not as if Amazon or UPS necessarily will put every package delivery for a single day on one truck. I don't know. I'm just saying. I know we wanted to leave by 8, so
So real quick, could it be like painted where it would be a loading, unloading zone in front, maybe? Is that what Teresa meant?
That's where the bus stop is. You
Oh,
can't
that couldn't do
where the
that.
bus stop
No,
is.
no, got it.
So the
They'd have-
answer is yes, there's a possibility, but that's not, I mean, normally, we wanted for Gramercy Apartments, if, where we meet for the board, we wanted the whole curb not to be red, just the opposite. We wanted the stretch from Washington to Wilton to be parking in order to support the commercial use, this before it was rediscovered. And it would have been the only way to easily support the commercial use. And how many years has it been since that building's been open, and we've not been able to gain any traction with LADOT to unpaint the red that there's so much red. There's only 2 legal parking spaces on that whole stretch, and the stretch is 360 feet. So for 360 feet, 20 feet is parking. So it's not that easy. So putting in a loading zone, which would take away some additional neighborhood parking, would still be okay, because at least assuming that Amazon used it would help. So, but again, also the improvement of the alley could be a request that and usually when we say improvement of the alley, it's not just repaving, it's widening. So the project we looked at on Jefferson, not too long ago, that I think was it 8th and Jefferson. You might recall they're widening the alley quite substantially. So, this one does not appear to be doing that.
So I just want to be clear here that it's 100% affordable, but in this case, it means moderate and low income. There are no units for very low income, extremely low income, or for homeless people. Is that correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Yeah, this is a terrific project. It's great. I suggest that we submit the concerns that you've articulated, Laura.
Okay. All right.
And I will also mention that there aren't any market rate units in there either.
Correct. Yeah. Right.
It's moderate income and low income only.
Right.
No very low income, no extremely low income, no housing for homeless, no services, no
Yeah.
parking, no pickup, no garbage.
Right. So there, again, he's saying, the representative is saying, we don't need to present to you, blah, blah, blah. And I haven't responded because his email was so, I
Well,
was gobsmacked by it. So
he's right. There's no need for him to present.
well, I'm not sure that's true because there's it's a mixed use, there's commercial, but moreover, I'm not sure broadly speaking it's true because who knows what his next project is. This is a land use rep. I understand the owner may not have any future projects anywhere in mind in the whole city of LA, but this guy makes his living representing developers of all kinds. I mean, because there was no application, just to be clear, I had to track down other projects he had represented just to get his contact info, which I did. And so I've seen the kind of projects, they're mostly discretionary. So I think to be rude like that, but I just haven't responded to him I mean, I don't want to be threatening, that's not my place. But I just think we usually work with land use reps who are more eager to bring at least a discussion whether or not it's discretionary or ministerial. And but I'm gonna try and move on. So then
I move for your concerns to be moved forward as a recommendation to the board so that there could be a letter written to planning about this project.
Okay, and it's addressing the concerns that we'll pick up in the transcript.
Yeah, that you already articulated.
Right. You're saying I need a motion, please go ahead and make a motion.
That's my motion.
That's your motion, I need a second.
I second.
Thank you. So I will move this forward. Oh, let's vote. All in favor, if everyone's in favor. This one may not be all in favor. Okay, take your hands down. Any
I don't know
opposition?
how to do that.
Oh. Well,
In favor?
any opposition? Or abstentions?
I oppose the project, but I don't oppose the motion.
Okay, well, I count a majority and then I see some people haven't voted, but that is okay. Because of those, the majority of people here who voted yes.
We voted yes on you sending a letter, correct?
Yeah.
Not on the,
Yes, I mean, moving it forward
yeah,
tomorrow
okay.
to the board. Gosh, I have a lot of work to do between today and tomorrow, based on the transcript today to express concerns. But it's going to be a very short letter because by and large we probably don't have the ability to influence this very much. But we have the same things on the next two because I want to.
Yeah, we have 2 minutes before people leave.
I understand. So I want to go to 1422 South St. Andrews. And while I'm looking for it,
I can't find anything in the packet on that one.
yeah, there's a lot in there on that one.
Oh, there it is. I see it now. Sorry.
Yeah. So yeah, no, so I'm gonna just give you some narrative while I'm pulling up some stuff. This address should be familiar to you because we already had some we already had discussion and actually approved a different project on the same site, or two pieces of a different project. And one of them was to subdivide the parcel into two parcels so that the R2 zone would allow them to do two duplexes. And then they also had a co-living project that they wanted us to approve. So we ultimately did approve all of that. And you may recall that while we were having these discussions, homeless people had totally broken in. And then they burned the place down. They, meaning whoever burned the place down. The actual guy who owns this kept coming to our meetings saying, oh, what can we do? What can we do? We don't know how to handle this. And this was a guy named Lyndon Xiao. So I'm sorry, I'm pulling up some docs. So in the meantime, they did not build that project, and instead, and I'm sorry, I'm back to the, can't get to anything. Instead, they have now proposed a 100% affordable housing. So I wanted to show you this project really quickly and tell me if you can see it, because
Yeah, there.
because I no longer can see you guys. So I'm just gonna go, I'm talking blind, sorry. Because whatever I've done. My main problem with this one, because again, the burned down house is already burned down. But here we are, even in what he's turned in here, he's showing a picture. I hope you can see that he still has a homeless encampment on his vacant lot. Do you see that? Can you guys see that?
Yeah.
All right, so here's where I'm very upset. So his name is Lyndon Xiao. And he also owns a property at, and here I'm gonna switch over. You may be able to see this as well. He owns another property. It's not here. It's 1744 North Wilton Place. So you can, which was, you bought it in 2023, and I don't have a picture of it, but it was a nice craftsman home. And now I'm gonna go back to ours, and also set for development, and it also burned down. So
That's really mysterious.
I understand. So I just feel like this is a different brief letter. And see, again, he's not maintaining his property. And I just feel like, why are we giving these permits without any sort of requirement, even that they maintain their property until such time as it's actually being built? And that's kind of all I can say about this. So essentially, this is just another one of these projects. That's all I
I
can
move
say.
that we send a letter asking why they issue permits for someone who's not even maintaining the property and degrading the neighborhood.
I second it.
Am I allowed to express the concern that it's not just one, but at least two properties that he's developing
Absolutely.
that have burned down?
Absolutely. That we see a pattern in practice.
I third it.
Okay, is there any further discussion? I mean, if not, can we vote? And let's be a little more organized, because I think I will just call. So all in favor, please raise your hand either digitally or where I can see you. And that would include Colleen, Teresa, Donna, Steve, Sandra, and myself. Take your hands down, please. Is there any opposition? Or is there any abstentions? And if I don't see the hands, I will assume abstention.
Abstain. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, and now there's one more, same situation, but a different guy. Oops. 1504 Wilton Place. It's another 100% affordable housing project. And this one,
Is that the lot on the corner that's currently a Craftsman house that serves as a church?
well, I don't know. Can you see, are you seeing Wilton Place at the top of your screen?
Yes.
The plan.
Okay, yes, and yes and no, it doesn't currently serve as a church. It currently serves as a place where people can keep setting it on fire. It's burned 4 times. Church is gone. It's wide open, gates open, front doors open, lots of fire. There's been 4 fires. The first one was in mid-February and a firefighter was injured. And they submitted their plans. They were deemed complete on March 25th, and they sent out an approval letter last week without, I think, ever driving by to see that they have not been maintaining the property. So, yeah. So, you know, I don't know what to say other than it's a really tall building going on that corner. You know, this is a neighborhood that does have multifamily. I mean, it's not quite as out of, I mean, it's very tall, but it's not as out of touch as some of these other projects that we've seen in other places, just because of the nature of the other construction in the area. But and they look like they have sufficient landscaping. They are following the CPIO, is the Arlington Heights, no, excuse me, it's the Angeles Vista character residential overlay. And the big mansion was not a contributor, was not shown as being a historic, because it had so many alterations over the years. So it's my objection to this is really more primarily the nightmare they've given to the neighborhood in the meantime. So I'm going to stop the share. I don't think I have photos of the existing conditions. So
So do you want to write another letter about the nightmare on Wilton?
yeah, I mean, in other words, I think what I would like in this case, it's really more specific, a letter to the planning department, very specifically asking them if it is all feasible. Is it at all feasible to adjust their letter of compliance, the determination letter, to add a condition about maintaining the property until such time as construction begins? They do need to rewrite their letter because they used another letter as a template and accidentally included the other address in it. So this can't be the final, I know. I mean, so this is not an appeal, but it just seems that would be my request to.
I think it's an excellent request. I adopt it as a motion.
To that one of the conditions. Donna's
The
letter.
letter be sent about the state of the property and that the planning department should require to maintain the property out of nothing else than respect for the neighbors.
Well, it's dangerous though, as well. It's not just respect.
Yep.
It's, yeah, to not make, I mean, right now it could catch the next door in either direction on fire. It had so many fires and it's also overgrown.
Burden for the fire department, for the police department, for the neighborhood. They should be required to maintain the property.
For the owner that has to keep paying people to burn down the property.
He didn't need to pay people to bring down the property in this case. I mean, this happened so the application timeframe was so speedy. Do you know what I mean? There's no motivation to burn it down. He's going to get the demolition permit without a problem.
So there's no requirement in the municipal code that property owners who are applying to the planning department have to maintain the property during the process?
Well, there's obviously a requirement in the municipal code that you never abandon a property. I mean, that, you know, there is that, but this wasn't housing, so there's no, you know, for a project that's housing, replacing housing, you are not supposed to be able to remove the occupants until and unless all the plans are approved by building and safety, and it's not just a ready to issue, but an actually issued building permit.
Right, but if the church is already moved,
Yeah,
a
so
lot.
in both these cases, the church is not housing, so that didn't happen. And with 1422 St. Andrews, going back a moment, basically the owner claimed that the prior owner had emptied the building before he owned it, before they closed escrow, which again was probably illegal.
Okay, so my motion is to recommend to the board that a letter go out to the planning department about maintaining properties during the planning process.
Well, can we amend that to be something to the effect of whether or not the building is a housing provider?
Absolutely.
That it shall be maintained and no, you know, until the building, you know, until they start construction. That there can't
Perfect.
be, yeah. All right.
They have to
that's-
maintain property during all phases. They have to maintain it during construction, the whole thing.
Yeah, well, yeah. Is there a second?
I second.
Sandra seconds. All right, any further discussion? All in favor? Please raise your hand for real. I am, or digitally. Okay, so it's Teresa, Colleen, Steve, Sandra, Laura. And I didn't see a Donna, but that's okay.
Donna's hand is up.
And Donna. Okay, any, hands down, any opposition? And abstentions?
I abstain.
Thank you. All right. Oh, we have moved along. It is 7:55. Follow up to previous cases, ENS, old business. And I again had thrown in updates regarding SB 79, objective design standards, open space element. The main update on the open space element is that UNNC did get its letter in, and the letter is sitting in our agenda packet for tonight. And no, Steve, I know you're gonna ask me this, but Anne had to spend so much time in our dollars on quickly updating our website for ADA until she was told to stop, that she's run out of hours for UNNC. So the letters are going to take a little longer to get posted, last couple of letters. So
Thank you for getting the letter out.
right. Okay, so if anybody wants to read it, it's in the agenda packet. And okay, so and updates regarding SB 79 and or objective design standards, Steve, I know you got them. One of them is
I haven't had a chance to read any of the new materials.
yeah, well, didn't you send me something about?
I sent you all kinds of stuff. I haven't personally had a chance to read any of it yet.
No, that's not what I mean. Didn't you send me, I mean, I can say what it was. You sent me an email about a public hearing next week, May 14th, Planning Commission.
Yeah, I think that's
Okay, well, I will tell you all what I know, which is not that much. On SB 79, this is a state legislation that basically boosts density around transit, and there's a lot of locations for that. I'm not 100% clear what the city council actually adopted, which recommendation. I thought it was that they were going to start to implement SB 79 in some high opportunity areas of the west side and the valley, and then delay implementation in low opportunity areas, HPOZs, and fire, sloped areas or fire hazard areas, and whole long list. So that's what I thought the city council had voted on. With even the implementation in places like Westwood, or along the D line would be not fully implemented, but rather some sort of queue condition, and that they were gonna take the next couple of years to do a citywide redo. I don't know how they're gonna accomplish this, but actually do a plan. So this is one of the alternatives in SB 79. If by way of example, at Adams and Crenshaw, at the moment, they're already in the general radius around it, surrounding that possible station for the Crenshaw K-line Northern Extension, but they already have higher potential density now than SB 79, if applied strictly, would provide. So they're trying to redo the whole of the city to see, they have a whole grid on that. So that's what I thought they were doing. Now it looks like what they're doing is trying to defer everything till 2030, but that may only be sort of a press release view of it, so I'm not clear, and I would have to read the whole report. They have.
So my concern about
let me just finish. The other thing that's so far they have refused to do, and it's in the planning department recommendation report. There has been multiple requests, including by city council member Blumenfeld, that they provide notification to property owners whose property will be affected. And they said the planning department recommendation is it's too expensive, we can't do it, we're not going to do it. Which seems legally stupid to me.
So the city council voted that be discussed by the budget committee.
That's because Blumenfeld's the head of the budget committee, is he not?
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I don't see how the
No,
planning.
he's not. Katie Yaroslavsky is the chair of the budget committee.
I don't see how planning can say it's too expensive without fulfilling what the council required, which is that because there was a council person, I forget his name, who was very concerned about notification, and they voted for that to be referred to the budget committee to make sure there were funds available to do it.
That's interesting. It's CD3 guy. Well, I mean, really, if you own a piece of property, I believe, and if it's going to be rezoned, they're supposed to let you know that. It's not supposed to be a secret. I mean,
right. So that's my concern, right? Is that SB 79 is being used by the city as a lever to upzone all kinds of areas around the city, even though there are legal challenges to SB 79, it may be modified through a amendment. There's all kinds of things going on with SB 79. In the meantime, the city is rushing to upzone areas. I don't understand that at all.
well, remember, there is a deadline. I think it's been extended to December, but maybe not. In the bare bones SB 79, there's a pretty immediate deadline to just do it. And the alternative to just doing it is to defer on certain categories of things. So I'm not understanding how they're not deferring. By Teresa, how they're not deferring, or if they are deferring West LA and the Valley. So, and again, this kind of goes back to who's getting notification. My brother lives walking distance. I mean, he's right by the Overland and Expo station. So he's well within, a couple 100 feet of that. And he's not gotten any notice of any sort, for example. I mean, it's a little early, but he has gotten no notice of any sort from anybody except me about anything. So they're not necessarily employing email either. I don't know how they would, but they're not doing it. And I'm unclear. So I'm getting the emails that Steve, you probably are also, from Maria, and can't remember her last name, but anyway, the people who are paying attention to this, they've met with, Kevin Keller, Deputy General Manager for Planning Department. And one of their concerns is that among the recommendations is to change on a citywide basis this required backyard, change it from 15 feet to 4 feet. So you can pile more density onto any lot, but this would be the whole city, citywide, no more backyard requirements. And part of what the UNNC open space, the open space element letter says is that everything that's in the proposed open space element is in conflict with all of our housing policies. The housing policies are taking away open space, now including backyards. So this is all I know on that. And I can't even say that I know it. If you know what I mean.
Hakeem did a presentation for us at one of our meetings. He actually has it in the opportunity for you to get it and review it. And
That
I
was
don't think
last,
anything's
that was a
changed.
month, was that a month ago or 2 months ago?
Probably 2. I think, Steve, you were there.
Yes.
So I'm
Yes.
gonna say 2.
So I
But
think things have changed already.
That's what I'm saying. But he would, I'm sure, update us if needed.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the right answer is, oh, and of course, this meeting, the planning commission meeting's in the valley. It's not, at City Hall. So it would be very difficult to comment at that meeting unless you got up very early in the morning and managed to get to Van Nuys City Hall by 8:30 when the meeting starts, because their technology, especially in Van Nuys City Hall, is not very good. And people who were on Zoom trying to comment were having troubles at whatever last meeting I was at. Okay, bye Sandra, are we getting boring? Sorry. Anyway, so UNNC is certainly not going to comment at this stage because it's not even clear what the planning commission is going to vote on, much less how they're going to vote. So, do you have any other thoughts on this, Steve?
No,
Okay.
just angry.
Well, I mean, I will say we're deferred. I mean, one thing that's clear is our whole area is not getting SB 79 this year. We're deferred to 2030.
Process totally lacks transparency. It's not democratic. They're not notifying people. They're changing things on a dime with very little notice before meetings where things are going to be decided. This whole thing about upzoning, changing the zoning, and then when the whole SB 79 thing is in flux, they're not going to change the zoning once they change it, so they're not going to revert back. I mean, to me, this is just a total giveaway to developers, and the city is doing as much as possible to facilitate it.
Well,
You're gonna
I will say
off
that.
urban planning and awful development.
Yeah, I do know that the people who have been actively advocating now for a couple of years, right? The people with our name, United Neighbors, that organization, not neighborhoods. Their other thing is that at some point, not too long ago, they were assured that for the areas that would be included in the immediate implementation, it would not be zone changes, it would be queue conditions would be added. So a queue condition is temporary. You can have
what I've read is that they're looking at zoning changes.
Well, that's their concern because the queue condition can go away, it can have a time limit, it can be 3 years only. But a zone change, which is much more substantial and harder to implement, and that I don't see how they can do that without notification to property owners. I mean, I think there's another issue, if they don't got the money, then they really, how are they going to do zone changes that quickly? Because anyway,
They can do whatever they want as long as nobody sues.
I think it
No
won't.
way to stop the city when they try to do it.
Well, the thing is, they're about to try and do it in the kind of neighborhoods where people actually can afford expensive lawyers or are themselves expensive lawyers. So,
Okay, well, that's huge.
you know, I mean, they're unlike our area. I
Right.
mean, these areas are occupied by $500 for lawyers. So, well, you know, we can only say, see what happens. I mean, because think about it, one of the areas is, one of the intersections is the intersection of Westwood Boulevard and Wilshire. No, LeConte. No, Wilshire, Westwood and Wilshire. And you're thinking UCLA, that's really great, but it's also Little Holmby. It's capturing a chunk of wealthy Little Holmby. So that's what I'm, so,
I'll be.
pardon?
The more that starts to happen there and activate that neighborhood and those kinds of neighborhoods, the better off we will all be.
Yeah, because it's capturing like North Malcolm. I mean, these are places where the homes are $4 to $6 million.
Right. I know, I get it. So, I mean, one of the issues has been that in South LA, it's easy to exploit our neighborhoods, one, because we lack lawyers per capita, but that the land is less expensive. So we've kind of been the model for this type of development. As they start moving into other neighborhoods, there are more lawyers per capita, the land is more expensive, it might be more of a fight, and that will be good for the city.
Right. But that said, SB 79, you know, wasn't passed by the city. It was,
Yeah.
you know, okay.
Fight back, and that will be a good thing.
Okay, objective design standards, do we have any updates on that? I mean, I know that you may have started reading some of those dozens and dozens of emails and documents. I have not, only glanced at what you sent me, thank you. But they struck me as being old documents.
Yes, they are. They
They
are.
had left that station.
Yeah, it's hard to know what's going on with objective design standards. And of course, we haven't heard anything about Mills Act either. That seems to be on the back burner.
Well, because nobody supports what the planning department wants to do.
But we haven't heard that officially, at least I haven't.
No, I mean, whenever they held these public presentations and hearings, including the most, whatever it was at the, more recently at the Cultural Heritage Commission, when I say recently, what, 8 months ago, 7 months ago, there was nobody in favor of it. So it's really hard to move it forward, but they don't want to make it change. They don't want to make the changes. So.
Okay.
So, and of course, ironically, some of the people who were most opposed have actually sold their homes, and thus thereby triggering an actual loss of revenue to the city because the buyers retain the Mills Act assessments.
Right.
And it will be much harder to cancel someone who is wealthy enough to pay $1 million or $2 million for a property, because we're back to the who can afford a lawyer, and those people can. Unlike some of the West Adams people who are in their 70s and 80s and have fixed incomes, wouldn't be able to hire a lawyer.
Yep.
All right. Any other updates on any other thing? All right. So I've got us scheduled to meet on May 20th per usual. I just don't know what we'll be talking about.
Okie doke. Good meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.